Across the world, more and more people are having an impact on democracy by not voting at all. In the pivotal 2016 U.S. presidential election, about 40% of eligible voters didn't cast a ballot. That's roughly 100 million people. Turnout in Texas has been pitiful for decades, with voting rates frequently under 30%. Just 52% of adults in the United Kingdom voted in the 2024 elections. Why is this happening? Let's look at the numbers. History books will recount how 2024 was the year of absolutely insane elections. France fought off a far-right surge, the UK voted out its Conservative Party for the first time since the very first iPad came out, and the US is having one of the most terrifying and yet fascinating elections in living memory. But even the non-stop anxiety of 2024 can't change the minds of millions of people who can't be bothered to vote. In the pivotal 2016 U.S. presidential election, about 40% of eligible voters didn't cast a ballot. That's more than the populations of Canada, Australia, and the Netherlands combined. If non-voters were a country, they'd be a pretty significant one, and probably a very indifferent one. But it's not just the U.S. that has this problem. France's electoral battle against the far right in 2024 led to the country's highest turnout since 1981. That sounds like it would be a high number, right? But only about 2/3 of France came out to vote in this historic election that was characterized as a fight for the nation's soul. It's even worse in the UK. The Institute for Public Policy Research found that just 52% of adults in the United Kingdom voted in the 2024 elections, which is the lowest turnout since the vote was extended to all adults over 21 in 1928. It's been almost 100 years since things were this bad, and even then it was because most women in the UK couldn't legally vote. And low voting rates make sense when it's by design. Voter suppression, in all its various forms, is still a real issue in the U.S., from strict ID laws to gerrymandering to the closure of polling stations in certain areas. These tactics disproportionately affect marginalized communities, making it harder for them to exercise their right to vote. So while it's easy to criticize non-voters, it's also important to recognize the systemic obstacles that some of them face. In a lot of places, voting actually is difficult. In the U.S., Election Day is a Tuesday, and it's not a holiday, so millions of people have to take time from work, school, or childcare to do it. And in every big election, there are far too many stories of people having to wait in lines that are longer than Disneyland in the summer. This is especially true in U.S. states like Texas, where voting lines in some areas can take hours. So it's no wonder turnout in Texas has been pitiful for decades, with voting rates frequently under 30%. When you compare turnout among the voting age population in the 2020 presidential election against similar national elections in 49 other countries, the U.S. ranked 31st between Colombia and Greece. But wait a second, what's this other suspiciously high number? That, my friends, is the percentage of registered voters who voted. And it might point to a key way to fix low turnout in America. The United States has a huge gap between voting age turnout and registered voter turnout. It's a 32-point difference. Registered voters in the U.S. as a whole are much more likely to vote. Of course, there are state-by-state exceptions to this, like Texas again. But for the most part, registered voters show up and do the thing. So what if America just focused on getting more people to register? In places like Sweden, they don't just wait for you to show up. They register you automatically. It's like they're saying, congrats, you're 18, here's your voter registration. And in South Korea, you don't even have to register. And guess what? It works. In these countries, the turnout rates are high. So is registration the big thing keeping people from voting reliably in other nations? Well, not really. Let's look at some polls in America. One important one was done by a polling company called Ipsos just after the 2020 U.S. election. The poll asks many questions, but there are two that I think illustrate the real problem. The first finding that caught my eye was this. The vast majority of non-voters in the poll did not feel like it was too hard to vote in their state. So for them, the issues of registration and waiting in line weren't the prevailing factors. So what were? Well, that's answered by another question in the poll. Half of non-voters felt like their vote simply didn't matter. Only 17% of voters believe that. That's a massive difference, and it explains a lot. This feeling of voter irrelevance is especially prevalent in places with the first-past-the-post system, where the candidate who gets the largest share of votes takes it all, even if they don't get a majority of votes. And if you live in a place that is politically one-sided, it can feel like your vote is just a drop in an ocean. But one of the biggest changes we can make is to get rid of this old first-past-the-post system and go with ranked choice voting. This directly addresses the big problem where people don't vote because it doesn't matter, or because they feel like their preferred choice doesn't have a chance to win. With ranked choice voting, instead of just picking your favorite candidate, you rank them all. You put your favorite at number 1, your second favorite at number 2, and so on, until you've ranked as many as you like. When the votes are counted, if no candidate gets a majority, the candidate with the least votes is kicked off the island. Eliminated. But here's the twist. If your number 1 choice is booted, your vote isn't wasted. It's instantly transferred to your second choice. And this continues until someone has over 50% of the vote. It's like Survivor, but with more democracy and fewer immunity idols. It means you can vote with your heart and your head. You can pick the person you really love first, and still have a backup plan in case they get voted off the island. And it's popular. New York City uses it for local elections, and the public response has been good. A couple of U.S. states currently use it for federal elections, and more are attempting to. Maybe in 20 years, U.S. presidential elections will be quite different, with more choices and more voters. Voting is the cornerstone of democracy. It's a unique process where you get to say, hey, I think this person should be in charge. Or, nope, not this one. It's your chance to have a say in how things are run, from your local potholes being filled to who gets to press the big red button that may or may not start World War III. Yes, your vote is just one among millions, but it's still yours. It's your voice, your choice, your moment to be part of something bigger. And in a world where a lot of important elections are decided by just a relative handful of votes, your voice is needed more than ever.